the stress is of opening up a shop.
Is he like, oh, nightmares, bring back nightmares?
You're taking me back there. You're taking me back there. Like, why did you take me back there? Oh, the feeling. I've said now, I never want to feel like that again.
Yeah.
So I said, I don't think I'll ever, I'm not sure if I will ever push myself to that place again, because it's a lot.
Of course, yeah.
Mentally, it's a lot. You know,
Person.
so the first celebrity cut I cut was Richard Blackwood. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah. He's like a presenter.
Yeah. He's an actor, presenter, comedian.
Yeah.
He was the first one I cut. I was about 19 years old, and he came to the shop. He was coming for one of the older barbers, and they weren't in. Both of them weren't in. So he's like, all right, you know, Slider, you just cut my hair. I was like, whoa. Okay, I was like, I'm not ready for this.
Pressure.
I was like, right. I was like, come back tomorrow. They'll be in tomorrow. He goes, nah, don't worry. You've seen them cut my hair. He's like, you've seen them cut my hair, right? I was like, yeah. He goes, so you know what we're doing then? And in my head, I'm like, no.
So now, obviously, you're working. You've worked with a number of, you know, high-end celebrities. You know, what does that feel like? You know, the fact that, you know, they're giving you that sort of responsibility with their hair, and you know, they've gone out their way to come to you. They could have gone to so many other barbers, but they've chose to come to you. You know, whether it's based on sort of word of mouth or recommendations or whatever. Like, you know, how does that feel? Is that the moment where you feel as if, you know, I've made it in this industry?
No. So I don't see it as because I cut celebrities, I've made it.
Okay.
You know, even when people say, oh, you're a celebrity barber, the reason I don't even accept the term, to be honest, because I almost feel like if you put your fame next to a celebrity, then that means it's only tied up in them. And if they fall off or quit or retire, whatever it is, right? Suddenly, what does your business no longer? Are you no longer a celebrity barber because maybe that person's not a celebrity no more? Are you no longer successful? You know, because you're not cutting celebrities anymore. So I was never caught up even on chasing that. It just so happened that they started approaching me for haircuts or wanting haircuts from me.
What's going on, people? Welcome back to the Minted Minds podcast. I'm here with a very special guest who's been kind enough to take some time out of his day. Very busy day, I can imagine. We have Mark from SliderCuts. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. We'll just get straight into it because I know you're limited to time. So, what got you into barbering? Let's just start from the beginning.
What got me into barbering? A few things. One, I had you could say, unknown passion for hair. Because when I was young, like, you know, 7, 6, 8, those ages there, I used to always be looking at hairstyles on TV. So I didn't realise I had a passion, but when I look back, I realised I did, because why was I always watching these hairstyles? 2 was poverty.
Okay.
Because we didn't have any money to go to the barbershop, my mum, my older brothers would cut my hair.
Oh, wow, okay.
So, when I first picked up the clippers to cut my own hair when I was 13 or 14, that was based on the fact of me not being able to get a proper haircut. So I was trying to give myself a proper haircut. You know, so, you know, my passion, poverty was almost a trigger point, you know, which kind of like unleashed or gave me, you know, a reason to pick up the clippers. And I think those are the 2 main things, to be honest.
So you said it was around 13 to 14 years old when you first picked up some clippers.
Yeah.
Now, so so how long were you cutting your own hair? Or
till now.
All right.
I still cut my own hair. So from 13 to 14 till now.
Oh, okay. So you actually cut your own hair? Is it
Yeah.
the fact that you just don't trust anyone else?
No, it's just easier, to be honest, because I get to work on my own schedule.
Okay.
So if you wait on someone else, it has to be like, when do you have time? But where it's with me, it's just like, I can, you know, decide to come in earlier, stay later, use my lunch break. So I like the fact that I'm in control of it. It's not that I wouldn't let anyone else cut me. People have cut me before, you know, but I just do it myself because I can and I've got the time.
So when someone does cut your hair, do you always critique it? Do you always like, this could have been a little better?
You know what? No, I'm not a fussy customer at all.
Okay.
It's funny, I'm a barber who cares about other people's hair, but I'm not that caught up over my hair. Like, even before this interview, my PA said to me, sorry, not my PA, my EA said to me, you're gonna call me a hater for this, but I forgot to tell you this is a video recording, so I never gave you any time to get yourself ready.
Don't really look good.
But I was like, it's not that deep, you know. It's all right, you know.
Okay, so you knew. So looking back, you knew it was a passion from young. You've always been looking at different people's haircuts and things like that. So before you started SliderCuts, was there a time that you may have worked at another place, or when did you realize, you know, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life?
Well, yeah, I worked in another barbershop from 18 years old till 32, 32 maybe, 33, something like that. I started SliderCuts there.
Oh, okay, so you're like freelancing on the side sort of thing? Or?
No, because basically how it worked was, in the barbershop, you rented a chair.
Okay.
You know, and SliderCuts started as a website name.
Okay.
So when I was 23, 24, I wanted to make a website for myself. So my nickname was Slider from when I was like 13, 14 as well. Okay. So everybody referred to me as Slider. So I was like, oh, well, since everyone called me Slider, if I do, you know, a website, maybe I should just keep with the name that everyone's calling me anyway. And my wife and my older brother suggested that I put cuts on the end, because I was thinking about different names like Slider, Slider the barber, Slider whatever, and they suggested cuts, you know, as in SliderCuts hair. So I said, oh yeah, let's long and short of it, let's go with that. So I said, yes, that's how SliderCuts started. So when SliderCuts started, it wasn't what it is now. It was just a person. It was just my name. It was just my barber name. So even when it started blowing up and started getting bigger, and I always say this thing, which is like, what happened with SliderCuts brand was the brand grew quicker than the business.
All right.
Because the brand had this name, you know, but as the business, I was still just a barber working in a shop.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by SliderCuts started in that shop, because it wasn't, SliderCuts when it started wasn't a shop. It wasn't this big thing. It was just Mark Maciver. It was like calling me Mark Maciver. It was just SliderCuts, you know. That's what it is. That's my Instagram name now. That's what I put on flyers. That's what I put on my business cards, my website. It's just, that's my barber name.
What was interesting, you said when you were like mid-20s, you decided to create a website.
Yep.
Now, I know even till this day, there's a lot of barbershops out there that still don't have a website.
Yeah.
So what was the thought behind that? Like, you obviously knew there was a reason as to why you should start a website. I'm assuming not many people had a website back then.
No one had a website. I think outside of like the big name brand shops, like, you know, like the Vida Sassoons, the Tony and guys.
You
know, those like really like
giants in the
game,
yeah.
There was really no barbers, even barbershops with websites. You know, so even like I was like the first, or at least definitely one of the first black barbers to have a website in London. You know, and then even with just outside of big names, I was just like the first barber. Because even it wasn't even, to be fair, it wasn't only black barbers. Just no one had a website. And when I built my website, I wasn't thinking I was filling a gap. What my thought process was, honestly, was just literally, I'm a business and businesses have websites. That's as simple as it was.
So why don't I have a website?
I should have a website. I'm a business. And that's what it was. Like, I wish sometimes I could be like, I saw the gap. I foresaw this. I foresaw that. But it wasn't. It was literally, I remember being like, you know, businesses have websites. I'm a business. Why should I just have a website?
So for you to, at that point, it was just common sense.
Yes.
Business have websites.
Yeah, and then I started getting all of these customers, like, you know, weekly coming for me, and it's like, where you see me? We saw your website. Because when people were typing in black barber London, there's no other website. So it wasn't even like I'm competing with anyone. There was no competition. I'm the only one that came up.
So did you know when you started getting these clients, was it at that point you realised, oh, okay, I've done something that no other barbershop is doing and I'm going to double down on this?
No, I can't decide to do that. I didn't even, to be honest, no. I was like, oh, wow, I'm getting all these customers, like overseas, people from outside London, like all the time, like, oh, like, where do you hear about me? Oh, we saw your website. You know, I was in a forum, like plenty of people said, I don't know what this forum is, but there's some type of forum people were in, and my one kept on coming up. But it wasn't like I was coming up because I was the best, to be very honest. I was coming up because
You're the one that...
there was no social media yet.
Yeah.
So if you want to check someone out, you want someone details, how do you find that person if it's not word of mouth? I'm the only website. And the funny thing is, my first website was only one page.
Yeah.
It had no pictures of haircuts, it had nothing. It had my name, my address of where I work, my phone number, and SliderCuts. That was my first website.
That's crazy. It's because, like, you know, I don't know if you've heard that phrase, like, it's not about being the best, it's about being first.
Yeah.
You are obviously first doing, you know, creating a website, having an online presence.
Yeah.
Now I see it as, you know, as a business, if you're not online, you don't exist,
Yeah.
especially on social media. Because it's interesting because you were one of the first to kind of put yourself online via a website.
Mm.
And now with social media, which is also what I want to dig deep into, because you're completely smashing it when it comes to social media. Because, you know, you're using it properly, you're doing it right, and it shows, do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
So using social media, again, I've had a look online, you know, there are a few other barbers that are doing well.
Definitely.
But you're one of the very few that are, you know, putting out content such as, you know, you're educating other barbers, you're providing so much value. And I think a lot of people don't understand the value of giving value. So would you be able to maybe just elaborate as to why sort of your content strategy around social media is providing so much value? Not even just so you can, you know, grab this customer, you know, I can do this, I can do... You're basically educating other barbers on how they can improve.
Yeah, well, social media has been kind of a roller coaster because, you know, algorithms have changed. What people want changed. Because initially, like in 2012 to 2014, I remember it was like, you know, Instagram recently said it's changed. It was like a photo sharing app, right?
Yeah.
And people used to put up cool pictures, cool edited pictures. Yeah, this picture's in black and white. You know, this picture, we blacked out the background and put you into it. It was just kind of like, I don't even remember those days, but it was just kind of like people just putting up cool pictures, put pictures of them posing in a, you know, in a certain place or next to a
One
certain
person,
thing.
I remember kids do this. I don't know why they used to cover their face.
Yeah. Do that, yeah. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it was all about being cool in it.
Yeah.
You know, back then. So that kind of worked. You can get followings from having the coolest type pictures. But now I think it's totally changed, and people have become more consumers, meaning that people online want something. They want to be fed something. Yeah. So I think that's partially how, especially in recent times, how I've grown, because I'm feeding people. But what I'm feeding people is substance.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, or the way I say it or not, if you take in that information, you can do something with it. If I tell you how to take out a line or do a shape up or fade or whatever it is, that's information you can use. And even with my content, when it comes to talking and doing my quote unquote lectures, you know, my 1 minute lectures, right? I've made sure that all my talks are straight to the point.
Yeah.
And they have applicable information that you can take on straight away. Because you can do longer talks where you can go around the bend and you can say examples and do metaphors and similes and be like, you know, so, you know, if you look at yourself and see yourself, I'm just making this off the top of my head. If you look at yourself and see yourself as a seed, that's what we all are. We're seeds, you know. But we're trying to get to trees. So what we're going to need to do to get to that tree, we're going to have to water it. Definitely. And you're going to need some sunlight. Definitely. You're going to need some water. Yep. Some air, some oxygen, some this, some that, you know. And when I look at social media, those talks are good. I'm not knocking them. I do them. I've done those style kind of talks. But when I feel like you could give them someone like a minute, we're going to give some 2-3 minutes, I just feel like they're not here for that. I feel just feed them, just give them the thing directly. You know, what do they need to do? So what do you need to do? You need to open up on time. First point. Second point, you need to close later. Third point, you need to clean up your shop. Fourth point, you need to bath your skin. You know, like just be straight to the point. So I feel like people have resonated with that because it means there's no time wasting. I'm just getting straight to the point and I'm just giving information to people, which people have said to me that I shouldn't, and I should charge people for that information. But I've been kind of like, it's just why not?
I think overall, because you're educating, it kind of builds that trust even as a customer.
Yeah.
You obviously know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about. Yeah. You know, you're so good to a point where you can teach other barbers. So why wouldn't I want to go to that person? So it kind of helps other businesses, you know, You got other barbers looking up to you as well as, you know, your clients. I'm assuming, you know, you're a very busy man, always cutting. So, and even I don't know if you've heard, you know, people like so Gary Vee and all these guys online. They always say, you know, provide value, because you're providing a service at the end of the day. Yeah. And without sort of building that trust with your clients, you're not going to be able to get those clients in the first place. So I think, but what started that though? Like, why did you start giving that value before? Sort of, was it like a strategy? You thought, you know what, I'm going to do this, or was it just like a given? Was it just to help you maybe solidify your sort of knowledge in the industry?
I think what happened was, I started off, it kind of just drifted that way. So when I started doing my videos, so I remember 2014 Instagram, or 2013 Instagram introduced videos.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, doing more videos now, let's talk on videos. Like, it's like 15-second videos you can put on your feed. So I remember I started doing these videos, like these cool videos which nobody was doing yet, of haircut, but they're 15-second clips of like the full haircut, the full process. Like, I hired a videographer and he'd film my haircuts and he'd edit them, chop it up, right? Then we drifted off to me being like, okay, we're doing those videos now, but you know, I've got some stuff I need to tell customers, because customers were doing things. I was like, you know, let's start making like public service announcements. So, you know, like, customers, stop coming with grease in your hair. Customers, if it's hot outside, we know it's hot, you know, so how about show up 15 minutes earlier so you're not sweating? You know, stop coming in and saying, you know, the reason why I'm sweating because it's hot outside. It's like, yes, we know it's hot outside. You walked out, it was hot. You saw the sun this morning, it was hot. So just come earlier and then you can cool down. So I started putting out these like messages which people were finding funny. People were like, you know, laughing about them and just reposting them, and not reposting them, laughing about them, you know, mentioning them when they saw me. So I was doing more and more of those videos. And then I remember being like, you know what, I want to do some tutorials as well with haircuts. So I started doing tutorials with haircuts. I was doing it on YouTube. I was, fully on YouTube. But then on Instagram, we only had like 15 seconds or 30 seconds at that time. So it wasn't enough time to do
the whole thing.
The whole thing anyway. I could only put like clips of it. So that's kind of how it started. I just started moving away to that. And then I started doing like talks, you know, on my Instagram, talking about, you know, things people could be doing. You know, because I was looking around, I was seeing things people were doing, and I was just like, you literally could be doing that better. You know, by, you know, just changing one thing of your life. You know, wake up 1 hour earlier, you probably get more done. You know, you haven't really seen it, but, you know, if you just actually put white on your hat, the logo will stand out more. You know, it was just basically, I was just seeing things and I was responding to it, and I was talking about it and I was putting it out there, and I wasn't even thinking about the whole idea. And that's when I started doing a lot more of these things, and people started telling me, you should be charging. Like, stop putting things out there for free. You know, and I was just like, well, why not? Yeah. And also, I felt like I was that kid who couldn't afford to go and pay for these things. So I've always seen it as, how would I help the younger version of myself? Yeah. And the younger version of myself didn't have money. So if I was going to help the younger version of myself, I'd have to be doing it for free. Because he can't afford it, and his family can't afford it, and his parents can't afford it. And, you know, he's being raised by one parent, like, they can't afford it. So why not give out things for free? And that's how it happened. And then it just started getting ramped up, you know, more detailed into barbering, into this, into that. But yeah, it was literally just, there wasn't a strategy at the end of it of being like, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that. It's weird. It was just literally, just why not just help these people?
It's interesting because I know there's going to be a lot of people out there that are probably watching, you know, your journey and thinking it was all set from the get-go. You know, he knew exactly what he was doing from day one. He had this strategy, and it's interesting because, you know, from what you're saying, it's just, you kind of just took it step by step. You didn't sort of overthink anything. You thought, you know what, Instagram can allow us to do videos. Let's do videos. You know, I want to start talking about this, so let's just start doing it. I think. Even I'm, you know, I'll do this sometimes. I overthink things. I think, you know, if I do this, but then what about if I do this? And I think just by listening to you and your part of your journey, especially on social media, just whatever you feel is right, just do it.
Yep.
And sort of your purpose as well. Because I remember, I think it was recently you posted up a story about some kid knocking the phone out your hand.
No, yesterday.
So, yeah. And you didn't charge him because you know what it feels like. So even though the amount of success that you receive, that you have in, it's nice and refreshing to realize, like, you know where you come from, you know how hard it's been, and I want to sort of talk about sort of again a bit about your past and stuff. So when did the SliderCuts shop open?
2018, October 2018 when it opened up.
So did you have any sort of business experience before that?
I managed the other shop I was working in.
Okay.
So I managed there for about 10, 11 years. So I had that there, but I kind of always felt that I had business acumen. That's what I always thought, like, you know, and even, I don't know where they get it from now, I think about it, but even when I was younger, I remember even my auntie saying you should do business. But I can't remember what she saw that made her even say that, because I didn't run a business, I didn't have a business, so what was it? But I was always interested in business and marketing. That's what it was business and marketing I was interested in. So when I finally opened up this shop, I had the experience from managing a shop, which is still different, but I thought even, you know, I kind of knew what it took, you know, because I'd been managing the shop for so long. And when I opened up this shop, I was like, there are a lot of us, there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more stresses, like, you know, even management isn't the same as ownership.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, so I was managing, but it just wasn't the same. You're managing someone else's business, you're managing someone else's idea, you're managing just someone else's thing. So coming here, there were really difficult parts, you know, loads of hurdles, loads of things I'd done wrong that I had to redo. You know, money which I'd lost and just having to be like, you know, because I did something incorrectly. So I've learned on the job, basically, from my previous job to here now. I've just been learning on the job, you know, and just when I make a mistake, just making sure that I don't make that same mistake again.
Yeah.
And then when I learn that new thing, then I'll be on Instagram talking about the old thing, because I'm like, well, not talking about like the mistakes I've made, is because I'm always like, well, now I've made this mistake, I don't want to let anybody else make that mistake. And that's how I end up giving out this information, because it's kind of like, you know, this mistake could cost you £500, could cost you £5,000, could cost you £10,000. I don't know you, but I don't want you just to lose £1,000, £5,000 or £10,000 for whatever reason. So yeah, I just put out I just end up putting out information. Going back to the question before, I just end up learning and then teaching. You know, so yeah, that's where I got my business thing from. I think there's a knack I've got for it potentially, but my interest and my willingness to go forth and make mistakes is what has helped me so much.
I think it's also you've got to look at, it sounds like you've got a good intuition on things, like you know what's going to work, or you know what's going to, even just helping other businesses, that's obviously working for you, do you know what I mean? And so, you know, you were saying there's definitely been some struggles opening the business. What would you say were probably the most, what has been the most difficult sort of thing starting SliderCuts, as in the barbershop?
The most stressful thing to open up SliderCuts Studios would have been having no money, you know, having to find money the whole time. That was the most stressful thing, because I opened up this shop. It sounds stupid when I say this story. When I opened up this shop, before I opened up the shop, when I got offered the lease, they told me how much the lease cost, the price.
Is it for this? You're talking about this one?
Yeah. Because someone was selling the lease to me. So I said, okay, you know, the price, and the man was like, okay, cool. It was, should I say the figures? Does it matter? Does it not? I don't know. But it was a certain price, it wasn't cheap.
Okay.
And he said to me, yeah, you know, yeah, you good to go with it? I said, yeah, I am. But, you know, give me 3 months to pay you. No problem. But then I also looked back and realized that even at the time that I said yes to a deal which I have no money for. So then I had now 3 months to go and find this money. And he's like, well, how have I put myself in this situation? How have I put myself in this situation? You know, but I realized I'd done that quite a bit, you know, with money, just saying yes. Just like, yeah, cool, we'll sort it out. Yeah, cool, I'll sort it out. Yeah, I'll sort it out. But then when it comes around to having to pay, and you've got no money, what do you do? So I think that was the most stressful part for me. Just the money aspect. Having no money. And then the builders were bumping me and they were raising up everything, and it's kind of like, you know, this price, but now it's this price, now it's this price, now it's this price. And it's like, oh.
Yeah, it's like never ending.
I'm like, I haven't got this money. For the first payment, it's like, yeah. So yeah, money was the biggest stressor in this.
Can I ask then, how did you get out of that sort of hole? 'Cause I'm thinking
still there now. Still there now. Do you know what? How I got out of it? Time. So I took out loads of loans. I took out some stupid loans, but loans which are necessary, like, you know, payday type loans. I had to take out like payday type loans. I had to take out a bunch of loans which would just like put me in crazy debt. So for like 2 years of SliderCuts, only until literally a couple months ago, every month more was going out than coming in. Since it opened up, so like 2 years and
wow,
and 4, 5 months, you know, I've had more going out. So that was the struggle, because every month I was like, I need to find money for the bills, you know, and I'll do things like take money off my credit cards from the cash machine, which means I have to pay a higher rate for that.
Yeah.
And then I would pay bills, for example, but then it'd literally be, I'm going to pay my credit card bill, but then I'm going to take that money straight off my credit card bill.
And then use that to pay that, and then use that.
And pay this and pay that. And then just every month, it was just a struggle, to be honest. Every month was a struggle getting through. So, you know, things slowly get paid off. People slowly get paid off because I owe people money. I owed people money. I owe one person money still. So from a list of maybe 10 people, I owe one person money now. How I dealt with it was literally just focusing on what I need to do. It wasn't easy, but I just had to focus on. I felt like I had no space to worry about what was going wrong, because I had to focus on paying the bills.
Yeah.
And finding the money.
Yeah.
You know, literally, it's only a couple months ago where it's kind of like, oh wow, we're kind of breaking even-ish. You know, so yeah, the stresses of opening up a shop.
Is he like, oh, nightmares, bring back nightmares?
You're taking me back there. You're taking me back there. Like, why did you take me back there? Oh, the feeling. I've said now, I never want to feel like that again.
Yeah.
So I said, I don't think I'll ever, I'm not sure if I will ever push myself to that place again, because it's a lot.
Of course, yeah.
Mentally, it's a lot. You know, so yeah, I just feel like physically it's a lot, mentally it's a lot. I feel like I don't want to go back there.
If you knew before you started how tough it was going to be,
yeah,
mentally, physically, you know, the amount of time it was going to take you to kind of build what you've got now,
yeah,
would you still do it?
Yeah.
Oh, you still do it, yeah?
Yeah, I would. Because everything's hard work. Anything worth it is hard work. You know, anything you really want to do, it will be hard. It just be hard work. I just feel like everything's hard work. So I still do it. Because I love my job. I love my career. And I like where I'm at. I like what I'm doing. I like the shop vibe. I like having my own shop. Although it comes with stresses as well. There are times when I'm like, oh, it would be easy just to go and work in the, just go work.
Yeah.
And work, you know, for someone else. Go work in someone else's shop. It would be a lot easier if I just did that. Sometimes I think, anyway, and it's not even I think it's the truth. It would be easier. Doesn't mean I'm going to do it, but sometimes you have that thought where it's like, this could be a lot easier, innit?
I'm laughing because I know exactly what you're talking about. I've got my own business, and sometimes I think to myself, was I better off maybe working? You know what I mean? Like work for someone else.
What do you do?
I've got my own dessert shop.
Okay, where?
It's in Birmingham, Smethwick. We've been open for about 6 years now, coming up to 7 years.
Okay.
So I understand, you know, especially at the beginning where you sort of trying to build yourself, you're learning as you go in, you got no one to sort of hold your hand. You know, if something goes wrong, it's on you. You can't blame anyone else. You can't, you know, it's on you.
Yeah.
And it was just sort of learning that as you go in was kind of very difficult. So even financially, no one's just going to be there, giving you handouts and stuff.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's mad because I'll do it all over again.
Definitely.
And I
it's
think
worked out for you. I'm assuming it's working out for you.
I feel as if I'm in a fortunate position now where even now I'm able to travel to London to come and do this. Well, the shop's still open, the shop's still running itself, and that's why we're doing it. And there was a post I think you posted where you're saying one of the few reasons why people think starting their own business, for the title of the boss and sort of you don't have to work as many hours, whereas that's completely sort of the opposite. You're probably working more than where you were on a full-time sort of.
It's your job.
Exactly.
I mean, it's your career. It's yours. So you can't just go sleep without that on your mind. Even when you're not physically working, you're thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a mental game as well, isn't it? And that's probably one of the main reasons why I want to start this podcast, is because people don't really realize, especially when if you're not from money and you want to start a business, your passion has to take you through those difficult times. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you've got money, then it's probably a different ball game. But especially at the beginning, and I want to just show the realities of people that are running successful businesses, such as yourself. You're doing well on social media, but it's still a struggle. Do you know what I mean? And every day is a sort of a learning day, and
the struggle is real.
So, saying all that, how do you stay motivated? Because I know there's a lot of people out there that even struggle to get out of bed, and I've been there where sometimes you just want to curl up, you just want to forget about everything. You from looking on Instagram, you wake up at a silly o'clock, on a sort of regular basis. How?
It's the agreements I've got with people. So my motivation is, like, if I tell you tomorrow, come in at 6 o'clock and I'll cut your hair, that's the motivation. Agreement.
Accountability sort of.
Yeah, it's like I made an agreement with you, so I can't have you come to the shop and I'm not there. There's that.
But you could easily say to me, just come in at 10 o'clock. Sure.
Well, in this, the thing is, if I was less booked up, I might say, I don't know, maybe I might say that. Maybe I might be like, hey, can I just do you at 10 o'clock?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe, but because I'm booked up, I haven't got that option, because like that space won't be there anyway.
Yeah.
But I think it's just the agreement I have with people. That's my motivation. It's literally, and also just doing things to the best of your ability, like just pushing to do things is what I guess to some degree motivates me. Also, I like the idea of, it sounds bad, almost hiring people, but it's not the hiring that's the thing that I like. It's the being able to provide people jobs.
Okay.
So it's not kind of like, oh yeah, I'm the boss, I get to hire people. It's just that, no, right,
you get to do more.
I get to do more. I get to help, just even with these people's lives by, paying them a wage and giving them money, or facilitating a space where there's customers there for you to get money. So I like the fact, hearing stories like, oh, you're going to get your house, you're getting married, you're doing this, you're doing that. I love that. And I can only do that in a position of ownership. So when it's like, what keeps you motivated? What keeps me motivated? Just reaching my potential, one. The accountability I have from the people around me now, the people who work for me, I've got 10 people in there, 11 people. If I close down, they're out of jobs. Now, they most likely will just potentially maybe easily go find somewhere else, but yeah, that's my motivation. That is what it is. If I say tomorrow, let's meet at 3 o'clock, there's my motivation. The agreement, sticking to my word. My word is my motivation.
I like it. Now, you've come from, from what it sounds like, a very difficult time, especially at the beginning, dealing with a lot of stresses, to a point where you're dealing with high-end celebrities, you're cutting their hair. Before we go into that, who was the first celebrity that you cut?
The first celebrity I cut was Richard Blackwood. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah. He's like a presenter.
Yeah. He's an actor, presenter, comedian.
Yeah.
He was the first one I cut. I was about 19 years old, and he came to the shop. He was coming for one of the older barbers, and they weren't in. Both of them weren't in. So he's like, all right, Slider, you just cut my hair. I was like, whoa. Because I was like, I'm not ready for this.
Pressure.
I was like, right. I was like, come back tomorrow. They'll be in tomorrow. He goes, no, don't worry. You've seen them cut my hair. He's like, you've seen them cut my hair, right? I was like, yeah. He goes, so you know what we're doing then? And in my head, I'm like, no.
How long were you cutting at this point? How long have you been cutting?
Well, I was 19, so I started cutting at 13, 14. But
Okay.
that was kind of like, oh, every now and then I cut my cousin.
Yeah.
You know, then every now and then I cut my brother. So it wasn't, that beginning part, it wasn't like customers. And then when I was 16, 17, I started cutting more people from my area.
Okay.
And I'd go to their houses and cut their hair. So at this point, in the shop, I'd been there about a year.
Okay.
But
prior to that, you've been doing...
Yeah. So, I tried to convince him to come back the next day, but he just wasn't having it. He's come saying, no, don't worry, you do it. You've seen him do it. You can do it. And I was like, right, he's not listening. I don't want to cut your hair. And also, what I was worried about was there was a guy that had cut his hair before. In the shop. And this barber basically, to some degree, messed him up.
Okay.
So, I didn't want to also mess him up.
Did you get pissed? Did you get pissed with him when it was like... Because I know a lot of people, their hair is like everything. Even if it's like a higher fade than normal, they're kind of like... So was it one of those situations where you didn't want to ruin it? Or?
I didn't want to ruin it. But even when the other guy ruined his hair, right? He didn't say nothing back. He thanked him, he paid him. He didn't even make a thing out of it. But I just knew, I remember looking at it and thinking, that's not the haircut he gets. He just gave him a whole different haircut. You know, and I thought maybe he asked for it, but then I found out no, he didn't ask for it. It was
just a mistake sort of thing.
The barber just gave it to him. You know, that it took his hair really short. But yeah, so I ended up cutting him. It took me a while to cut his hair. I can't remember, an hour and something. And I had no help there, as I said, no older barbers there. And he seemed to be happy with it. And he paid me and he tipped me and he's like, thank you. And I was like, yeah. And like, great, got through that.
So now, obviously, you've worked with a number of, high-end celebrities. What does that feel like? The fact that, they're giving you that sort of responsibility with their hair, and, they've gone out their way to come to you. They could have gone to so many other barbers, but they've chose to come to you, whether it's based on sort of word of mouth or recommendations or whatever. Like, how does that feel? Is that the moment where you feel as if, I've made it in this industry?
No. So I don't see it as because I cut celebrities, I've made it.
Okay.
Even when people say, oh, you're a celebrity barber, the reason I don't even accept the term, to be honest, because I almost feel like if you put your fame next to a celebrity, then that means it's only tied up in them. And if they fall off or quit or retire, whatever it is, right? Suddenly, what does your business no longer? Are you no longer a celebrity barber because maybe that person's not a celebrity no more? Are you no longer successful? Because you're not cutting celebrities anymore. So I was never caught up even on chasing that. It just so happens that they started approaching me for haircuts or wanting haircuts from me, and that just came from word of mouth, then also Instagram. And how did it feel? It didn't feel like, it's a weird one. It didn't actually feel like anything. I spoke to someone about this morning where I said, the funny thing with these guys who I cut, I never really get the magnitude of them until I'm put in a situation where I see it. As example, if I go and watch Anthony Joshua fight, and there's 90,000 people there, and they're shouting, oh, Anthony Joshua. At that moment, I'm like, oh yeah. Like, that's what I'm like, oh yeah, you are Anthony Joshua, innit? You are massive. They really, rate, care, all that stuff there. So it's like, oh, right, that's right. I cut his hair. Not to anyone, but in my head, I always get that feeling where it's like, whoa, right, he's...
So it's only at that point where you kind of get starstruck. While you're cutting, you're just thinking, okay, I'm just going to do my thing, and that's it.
Yes. It's only those little moments where things like that happen. I'm like, oh, yeah, he's quite big, isn't he? And people, you get to kind of see it, but outside of that, I'm just cutting their hair. And also, what people need to understand is when I'm cutting their hair, it's very normal.
Okay. Very
normal conversations, very normal things. So
yeah.
we could be talking about jollof rice. We could be talking about, fish and chips. the drink that you like.
That's one of the
TV
things.
program.
That's one of the things I like about a barber is like you can go in there and you could have even either taken part of or listened to maybe like 10 to 20 different topics of so many random conversations.
Yep.
I think the vibe in a barbershop is just it's different, isn't it? It's like whether you go somewhere else, you just can't get that type of atmosphere. And people are very passionate.
Yeah.
You know, you could be talking about politics, then you could be talking about football, then you could be talking about your favorite food.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, that is, I think a lot of people also go to the barbershop just to kind of experience that, just to kind of take it back, see, and just be like, you know what, I like it. Have you ever felt like quitting?
No.
So there hasn't been a point where, you know, things have got like so difficult.
I think it's become very difficult, but I never felt like quitting. I have felt like that this is just long, but I haven't had the thought where it's kind of like I want to quit. But it's more so been like it's almost like this being like I was like, oh,
yeah.
this is just so long. Why? That kind of feeling, but not to the point of, you know, I feel like, you know, I wanna end this. If you weren't in the barber, if you weren't a barber and you weren't in this industry, could you see yourself doing anything else? I think I could be in marketing and advertising. I could see that actually. Yeah. I think I could also do some type of counselling. Yeah, I think potentially I could do something like that. But yeah, I think that'd be it. But definitely marketing and advertising because I'm actually interested in that. And when I was young, I wanted to be a counsellor. So maybe not a counsellor. But from young, I wanted to do counselling. To sort of help him and sort of when it comes to like mental health maybe and stuff like that. Yeah. Do you ever see yourself stop like cutting hair? Do you ever see yourself like? Do you have like, or is it just like? Whenever I feel like it, I'll start. But right now, it's just for the foreseeable. I'm just doing this. Well, for the foreseeable future, yes. I have got a retirement age. I don't want to do it past my retirement. I do want to retire at some point and enjoy the pension and all that stuff there. So for now, till like retirement, just barbering. You know, maybe I might do other things which are around barbering, like let's say open up a barber academy, or like a hairdresser's type academy, but some type of academy where I teach people to cut hair and also teach them business. Do you have any sort of interest in maybe like scaling the business, and if so, like how would one sort of scale something like a barber's? Because obviously people know you. Obviously a lot of customers, I'm assuming, they come here for you specifically. So do you have any sort of plans on expanding or sort of opening other branches anywhere else? As it stands, no, because you know what, ideally it's a good idea, but I just don't want to spend my life just chasing the next thing. And over the last 10 years, I feel like I've done that, where I'm always just chasing the next thing. So when it comes to expansion, it's like, it's a good idea, but I'm going to spend all that time and energy into, you know, building up that place and doing all that stuff there, and then it's going to be like, what next? Yeah. Then, you know, then what next? Then what's after that? It's just kind of like you're just constantly chasing the next thing. So I'm just feeling like, because my perspective, you the hardest part is creating a brand, and I think you've done that. You've done that really well. You know, SliderCuts. There was literally yesterday when I was getting a trim back in Birmingham. My normal barber, he was close. I went to like a random one. It wasn't like a random one. It was down the road from my shop. Yeah. But I've never been there before. Yeah. And what's weird, because the guy next to me, he was talking about you. He mentioned your name. I couldn't really figure out what the conversation was, but he mentioned your name and he was talking about your Instagram. And that's in Birmingham. That's like you know, far away from where you're based. Yeah. You've done the hard part. You know, you've created a brand. So don't you think it would be easier now than it was for obviously this shop to kind of start maybe a new branch and think, you know what, the name kind of speaks for itself now? Ideally, but I don't think it's easier, because if you care about your brand, then you have to be invested into what people are doing with your brand name. Interesting. You know, so it's like I'm gonna have to go up there and be there 2 days a week because I need to keep an eye on what's going on. and let them get the vibe and set the vibe of each place of, you know, this is how we do things, how we run customer service, this is how we deal with people, this is the SliderCuts experience. So I'd have to teach them all that experience to get them to have the SliderCuts experience and do what SliderCuts does. So it seems more simple because, you know, you've done the harder work, you can even get investors, all that stuff there. But ultimately, I know what I've done to get here. You know, I know how I've done it, right? So you giving me money and investing into me is great, you know, but I still have to reproduce this. So that's the reason why I think we just be chasing the next thing, and why I'm not pursuing that right now.
Interesting. What would you say, is there any sort of piece of advice that you would have liked to have heard maybe when you were younger? It could be anything, it doesn't have to be specifically about barbering, it could be just any sort of single piece of advice that you would have liked to have heard whilst you were younger.
When I was younger, what would I have liked to have heard? Take myself back, you know, like get yourself back in that place. I'm trying to think. So I'm younger, I'm 15. I'm trying to say what was going on in my life.
Sorry, how old are you? Sorry, okay.
I'm 36 now.
Oh, okay.
So I'm trying to take myself to like a 15-year-old, 16-year-old self. What was I doing?
What were you like actually? What were you like? What was you like younger? Like, because you know, you seem very clued on. You seem very intelligent. You know what you're doing, especially, you know, running the business side of things, marketing. Have you always been like on the ball sort of type of person, or?
I think so. Not with everything, but with business things. I remember doing, you know, events for like the youth group in like our local community centre. Yeah. And getting involved in events, you know, heading them up, and just things like that. So I was someone who was active, always on the move, liked to keep moving, with no place which I could call home in a sense. Not like I didn't live in a house, I lived in my mom's place. But I kind of felt that my peers all had friends. They all had I had like a group which they fit into. And I just felt like I never fit into any group. Like, that was me as a kid, like, yeah, I ended up making so much friends because I was always in a different like community centre. You know, and those friends, a lot of them, some of those friends who I even made from back then, you know, I kind of have, you could say, business. I do business with them now, whether it's come to get a haircut or I buy into their company, whatever they're doing. But it's funny, but it helped me out a lot in my barbering because I wasn't settled in one place and felt comfortable to be almost like, yeah, my boys are just my boys. I end up just traveling a lot, but not getting up to mischief, but, you know, go to that youth club, just go to different places. And that was kind of like what I was like. So, you know, internally, also I was insecure because of not having a place to fit in. So I used to put on a bravado to act like I was more confident than I actually was. So I would be Mr. Confident, but I wasn't confident at all. I would just put on the act. And also I think as I got older, I realised that when you get confidence is an act.
Okay.
You know, it's people acting. Sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's just confident. If it's just kind of like someone gives you a ball to kick to hit it against the wall, just which is just right there, a meter behind you, then that is confidence because you are confident that you can do it, right? But for me, there was a lot of like insecurities with the way I look, you know, with my friendship group. So I even split apart from one of my friendship groups even when we were 18 and I started working. It wasn't like an official split, but it was just because I was just driven. I wanted to do stuff, and at the time they didn't really want to do anything. They just wanted to hang out and chill, and I just wanted to do stuff. So that was kind of like who I was. And I think the advice I'd give to myself would be just to continue on the road you're going on. Like, and it will be lonely. It will be lonely. It will feel like you're by yourself, but you are on the right track and you're doing the right things. So just keep on going because it will work out for you. So I guess the advice would be an encouragement.
Do you ever felt like you had to sometimes suppress yourself just to kind of fit in? Is that what you found like you would do? Because I know I've done that sometimes, like, you know, looking back, where I felt as if I was kind of like yourself, like thinking a lot of my friends wouldn't really want to discuss business or improve their life. That we'd have a laugh and joke and stuff, but there would never be any sort of meaningful conversation in regards to like, just pushing yourself and doing the best that you can, or even being the best version of yourself. So I had to kind of restrict myself just to kind of fit in, and then slowly I realized, this isn't me. I can't be doing the same thing every day, and I had to kind of distance myself. Is that similar in your sort of situation?
Yeah, exactly the same. It was exactly the same. It wasn't like cutting off people, but it was like we had to distance myself because we're not doing the same thing and we don't want to do the same things either, which was a good decision.
Yeah.
So I could just focus on what I was doing and, working and all that. And I think that you get to places in life where you have to make those kind of decisions,
Yeah.
I made it. I was just like, I need to.
What's next for SliderCuts? Anything in the pipeline?
Well, at present, there is we're doing I did a collaboration with a company called Trim It.
Oh, yeah,
We've got the mobile van, so we can do delivery haircuts to your door.
Jeez.
Depending, not Birmingham. We're not going to Birmingham. But doing that, that's in the pipeline to happen. That'll be starting hopefully, God willing, in August.
Okay.
And the other thing is just the academy, which is not been started, but that is something I want to do. Have an academy and teach people business. That's not in the pipelines yet. That's just an idea of mine.
That you definitely want to get out.
I'd love to do that.
Perfect. Mark, it's been a pleasure. If people want to reach out to you online, what's your Instagram and what's the best places to reach you out on?
To reach me, go to SliderCuts.com. From SliderCuts.com, you can find all of my information, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, email, whatever it is, just SliderCuts.com. Or if you just type in SliderCuts into any social media platform, I will show up.
Jeez. Well, Mark, it's been a pleasure. You've been a perfect guest. I could literally sit here for ages talking about it, but I know you're a busy man, so I'll leave it to it. People, we'll see you on to the next one.